Good evening, everyone. We're going to be starting soon. We're waiting for Adele to join us. So let's wait just a moment, see if she can. Actually, I'm going to invite her, it might be easier. There you go. There you go. Okay, there you go. So now I need. Perfect. There you go. Here we are.
Hey,
Hey, Adele, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Not too bad.
Good.
Are you here? Are you in London?
No, I'm in the US.
Oh, okay.
So it's like 1 o'clock here.
Okay. Not too bad then. In
Yeah.
the middle of the day. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining me on this live session.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm going to introduce myself to the audience when they start watching, or to the people that watch this video if they're not watching it live.
Yep.
My name is Adelle. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm a career coach. And I'm having today a session with Adelle Thompson. I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself a bit. I also have an introduction for you.
Oh,
that I prepared. And today we're going to be talking about confidence. The title of this session is Confident on our confidence. And we'll be dealing with a bit of understanding what confidence is, where it comes from, the types of confidence, indicators of a lack of confidence, tips and techniques on how to improve or give a boost to your confidence. And then we'll finalize with a live exercise.
yeah.
So, Adele, do you feel confident in sharing your? You see the word. You feel? Are you happy to share your pronouns with us?
Yes. I never know how to say it right, but she, her.
There you go. Brilliant. So I'm going to start with doing an introduction to yourself. So if there's anything that I say that is terribly wrong, apologies. I think everything is right. So just let me know if anything is wrong. So I'll just crack on and go ahead.
No problem.
So we have today with us Adelle Thompson. She's a certified life coach based in London, just like me. And she is specialized in career and self-confidence. She has started as an early years teacher, and she repackaged herself and highlighted her skills and was able to get hired in a total different industry without having any qualifications or experience. She's nowadays she's on with over 13 years in HR recruitment experience, and also her own, of course, personal journey of self-discovery. She has made her mission to help other women build careers they love, and earning finances that create the freedom and ownership over the direction of their lives. Within her services, you will find offers like several packages like CV rewriting, career intensives, and a confidence career accelerator program. You can find more information on her website, www.atenrich.com. This is AT for Adelle Thompson, Enrich, ENRICH.com. Or on her Instagram page at Coach Adelle T. That's Coach Adelle with 2 L's, and it ends with a T. Is that correct?
That is all correct. When you were speaking, I was like, oh, that's me. I've done a lot.
It's funny, you know, when you hear it from a third person voice, isn't it?
It is. I was like, oh, I've done pretty well.
Well, you have indeed, and that's fantastic, and that's what you can share with your clients.
Yeah, no, when someone else says it, it's like, did I do that? Was it really me?
Is it me?
Yeah, that's how it felt. I was a bit like, oh, is that really me? But thank you for such a lovely introduction. And yeah, I'm a career and confidence coach. So I was really excited when you asked me to do this session because, yeah, I believe confidence changes everything, literally. So I'm very excited to speak about this. I literally saw a post before I came on here that said, you'll get further in your career by being likable than being smart. And I kind of was like, the likability is in line with confidence.
It is.
Because it really is. You can be the smartest person in the room, but if you can't articulate it in a really confident way, people just won't connect to it. So I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Okay, so after this introduction, I wanted to get into the topic. So we, as I said at the beginning, we're going to talk about confidence. So let's go to basics. What's confidence? Because we all talk about confidence, but what does it entail? So if I go to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it says that confidence is a feeling or consciousness of one's power or of reliance on one's circumstances. So here is highlighting two things. It's highlighting one's powers, which is the things, our skills, the things that we believe we have, and also the reliance on one's circumstances, things around us, the people that we have around us, the materials, tools that we have around us. How do you feel about this definition, and also how would you expand on it?
So I actually like this definition, especially the one about like power. I think one of the key things in confidence isn't just knowing your power, but believing that it's important and it's helpful. Because a lot of the time we think, oh, I'm good at this thing, but no one cares. And until you believe, not only should you care, but you believe that other people, like confidence comes from you knowing that all your personal power is valuable and contributes in some way to the world. I feel like that's when you can tap into your confidence. So I really like the definition of power. Like the power for me, I love talking about personal power because confidence for me is something that is very quiet. A lot of people feel like confidence is this big, loud, in your face thing. And when we say the word power, people think of that like powerful, strong, big. But power is one of the most quietest things in the world. And when you really have power and you own your power, and I think that's key. When you own your power, it just comes across, and you, without even speaking sometimes, people can feel the essence of your confidence. I'm a super shy person. Doesn't come across like that online. And I think I've kind of growing out of that shy persona, but I've always been quite shy. I'm an introvert, which a lot of people don't believe because I'm very chatty, but I'm very confident in my skill set. I'm very confident in what I bring to the table. So people see the confidence before they see the introversion. And I think that's power. The power is what do you have? What are you confident about? And that confidence shines so brightly that everything else becomes secondary. My introversion, my shyness, you don't see that because you see this confident person showing up on Instagram, having a chat with you. So I love the definition. And I'm a big believer in confidence isn't to do with your outward behavior. You can be the loudest person in the room and be the most insecure. You can be the quietest person in the room and be the most confident person. So confidence is more about who we are and who we be, if that's what you want to say, rather than what we can do. It's about who we are and what we be and how we feel about who we are.
Brilliant. I love that. I love what you said about confidence being quiet. And this brings me that image of that person coming into a room, not saying a word, not screaming, not yelling, and all the eyes on that person.
Yes, that's what I call confidence. It's that you command the room without even trying. You just walk in and everyone's like, who's that? It's because they're confident. It's like an aura that people have. And people don't understand that, but it genuinely is like an aura that you have, but it comes from the inner work that makes it shine on the outside.
Love it. Love it. And then you were talking about types of confidence, and that ties me with I went into the literature, and it talks about mainly 4 types of confidence. The first one is called the unwarranted confidence, which it mentions that it says also known as cocky arrogance. Okay, that's I don't like how it phrases it, but I'm understanding more that unwarranted confidence is that confidence that you have, but it doesn't have any base. Like it doesn't have any reason.
Yes. I like that confidence sometimes. I don't like the cocky confidence. But sometimes you've got to believe it before you see it. So sometimes there are people with unwarranted confidence, but you see that they go really far because they just blindly believe that they can do it. So then they do it. But I don't, cocky sometimes, you know, the arrogance. I don't believe in arrogance. I don't believe you need to put people down to be confident. But I do like a little bit of, just a little bit of cockiness where you think, I'm the best person in the room. Because if you don't think it, no one else will believe it. So
yeah, absolutely. So let's just scrap the word cocky and let's just say that confidence doesn't have any base.
Doesn't have any basis, yeah. Like you're confident. Some people, they've literally had no evidence that they'll be great at something, but they still believe, and that's unwarranted. Like there's no validation, unwarranted confidence. Some people see it as a bad thing. I think sometimes it can be helpful, especially start your journey, and especially in career and career changes. I sometimes feel like a little bit of that can be really helpful. Too much. Perfect. Not so much.
The right measure. The right measure, yeah. The second one, it's they're calling it the pasted confidence. Sorry, pasted on confidence. And it's a weird way to word it, but they say it's that confidence that you try to build onto yourself. Like, you know, like when there's many people that do a bit of in the morning, they try to build their confidence, and they try to reflect upon, they try to reflect. They try to build up their confidence by they saying nice things to the mirror, like you can do it, you're the best. All the types of techniques like that. So based on confidence, they say that it's like a confidence that you brush on yourself, like you put a thin layer of confidence on yourself in order to get on with it.
Sometimes we need that, a little pep talk, like, you know, in the mirror. Like just to remind yourself. And I think repetition, like anything, you know, they say practice makes perfect. I think if you keep repeating something to yourself, eventually your subconscious mind believes it. Like if you keep on trying to paste that on, if you keep on saying the affirmation, I'm not saying that alone, but if you use that as part of your confidence journey, I think it can be a good thing. Like just by repetition, anything you hear over and over again becomes your reality. So paste it on in the morning before you leave, can't be a bad thing.
Perfect. And this ties very nicely with the next type of confidence, because you were talking about repetition about repeating it to yourself, but repeating an action that you might initially not be comfortable or confident about will build that confidence. So that's called the I've already done it confidence.
I've already done it confident. That's a really good one. Especially, I remember when I started this business, it took me 6 months to go live because I'm confident in other areas of my life, but showing up on video was like, no. And also it felt like I was talking to myself because you don't have the immediate reaction of the audience. So I didn't like it. So I was like, will anyone care about what I'm saying? And I feel like the more I did it, like now I just jump on live and I'm like, I still get the butterflies, but I'm like, oh, let's chat. So I agree with that. Repetition, the first time you do it, it might be awful. But the more you do it, eventually it's like almost, it's like autopilot. It's second. You don't even really, like, I can't even remember 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago how scared I was. Like, I look back at the old live. So anyone who's watching this, if you go back to my old live, I've left it on there because I look at it to remind myself. Because I was like this, hi. I was really nervous. And then if I compare it to videos now, it's so different. So I do believe if you repeat an action, even the most uncomfortable action, if you keep doing it, eventually it just becomes a part of who you are.
There you go. I got an idea for you for your next video. You have to do a live reaction of Adele watching the first video that she ever recorded.
That is such a good idea. I am going to do that. A live reaction of me watching me. I think it will be hilarious, guys. I love that.
Brilliant. Okay, now I gave you some homework. Sorry. Okay, okay. Now we have the fourth one that I have, and I think this is a very good categorization, but I'm sure that there are other types. But I found it very useful. The last one is called the effort will lead to results. This is all on inverted commas. Confidence, and it's basically speaking about preparation is key, planning is key. The more you build that towards something, the more confident you will be when that something happens. Or I think it was who was General Carter that used to say, failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
Yes. For someone who, like, I will organize everything in my life. I'm very, like, planned out. That's my favorite type of confidence. Before I have a conversation, I will write down talking points because I know I'm going to forget something. Sometimes before I negotiate salary or have a conversation with my boss, I will send an email first with everything in it. And then when I go and talk to them, I feel a lot more confident. It's something I work with my clients with as well. I feel like if you prepare, it's almost like sometimes you go into a conversation and you feel more nervous because you think, oh, I need to remember this and this and this and this. Whereas if you've planned and you've said, I'm just going to talk about these 3 things, maybe you've made some notes and you've sent the email as well, you feel a little bit more relieved because even if you forgot something, the email went first. So it said all the things that you may forget. And I'm a planner. I'm genuinely a planner. Even for this live, I wrote down notes because I was like, I like to get things out of my brain because otherwise I do feel a bit nervous and I just to feel a little bit more confident. So I think preparing gives you a confidence boost. And I sometimes think when we wing it, when we just go in, no plan, and we just go for it, that sometimes will work against us because now we're trying to think on the spot and that's not everyone's skill set. Now we're trying to sort of scramble for ideas. And when your brain flatlines, that's what I call it, when it just goes, boop, that feeling can almost make you feel really silly. Yeah. Actually, you're not silly, or it makes you feel less than smart, but it wasn't that. It was just that you didn't plan ahead. You didn't plan to, okay, well, I'm not going to rehearse what I'm going to say, but I'm going to at least have talking points so that I remember, okay, I want to talk about this, this, and this. So I think planning, really important, really, really important, guys, especially if you're working on your confidence.
Perfect, brilliant. I also like what you said about before a meeting, preparing the points that you want to discuss, but not only that, you send them.
This is me thing. I'm very much like this. If I don't send them, like I said, I feel like something's going to be forgotten. So the first time I negotiated salary, I think I sent it was like an essay. It was like a 1-page essay to my boss of why I deserved the money. And when we finally had the conversation, my boss was like, you've already told me everything. You can have it. And I was like, yes. So coming from someone who is a little bit shy sometimes, planning and writing the email sometimes is really helpful when you're a little bit more introverted.
It's perfect. It also helps you making sure, like, I'm kind of getting an agreement with the other person of the things that you want to get out of that session.
Yes, yes, it is definitely.
Brilliant. Love it. Okay. Sorry, do you want to mention anything else about that you want to talk about the meaning or anything else about confidence, what confidence is, what it entails?
No, just to remind anyone who's listening to this live right now, you don't have to be born with confidence. It's a skill that you can learn. Trust me, I'm like literally proof of that. So confidence isn't a way of acting. I want people to really understand that. Like a lot of people are like, right, I've got to act like this. I've got to look like this. Confidence isn't a way of acting. It's a way of truly being. And the only way you can truly be is by working on you and deciding what you're good at and what you're great at. But putting on a facade or like the fake confidence, yeah, you can fake it till you make it to a point. But confidence isn't an outward thing. It's an inward thing. So anyone who's listening to this, being confident has nothing to do with what you see or how I'm showing up. It has everything to do with how I feel about myself. And that gives me the ability to show up. So confidence is inside. I want that to be really important. Confidence is inside. It doesn't have to be loud. It can be if you want it to be, but it's inside. So that's my definition. Confidence comes from inside, not outside.
Brilliant. Okay. Are you okay if we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So the next topic is about indicators of a lack of confidence. And I want to stress up that when we talk about these indicators, it can be indicators that you recognize to yourself, but it can be also indicators that are recognized by third parties. Mm-hmm. So it's very important to have that third party point of view.
Yeah.
Now I have a list here. I don't know if you have something different, but are you happy for me to go through this list and then, oops, I think we are we're having connection issues. So I'm going to wait a moment to see if I don't think it's me. Okay. Things that happen with live sessions, especially when doing them over the internet. So I'm going to, oh, she left. Okay, we're going to be waiting for Adele to see if she joins again. Just trying to send her an invite again. Coach Adele, I'll invite her again. And she's still here. Okay, I invited you again. Did I? Yes. Okay. Hopefully you've received the invite. Adele, are you here still? Are you with us? I'll be waiting. So whilst we wait for Adele to join, I'm not sure if I have to do, I mean, I already invited her, so hopefully she can join us. While we are waiting for Adele, oh, she's unable to join. It's strange. Anyway, I'll start going through the types, through the indicators of a lack of self-confidence. So there are, of course, there could be variations of these ones, or it could be, or there could be different ones. But I think that this list is quite good and quite generic. So the first one is saying negative things and being critical about yourself. Many times this is difficult to do by yourself. Many times you need somebody else to tell you, because you don't see it. Yes, it's natural talk for you, and that's something that is very common on people that lack confidence. Joking about yourself in a negative way. This is also related to negative things, because negative things can be said whether. Oh, there you go. I accept it. Are you here?
I'm back.
Yay, we made it.
I don't know what happened.
It's okay, we made it. We made it. Are you okay? I was telling you before.
I was listening. Yeah,
okay.
I could still hear you. I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me. So I was still on, so I could hear everything.
Okay. So the list starts. Sorry, did you hear also that I said the first thing about talking some negative things? The second one was about joking about yourself in a negative way, which is literally the same as saying negative things. Even if you're joking, it's negative things. Then the third one is about focusing on your negatives and ignoring your achievements, which is, I think it's something very typical of imposter syndrome or imposter phenomenon, of concentrating on, you're a fraud, everything, and then you ignore the actual achievements that you've got. Then the fourth one I have is about blaming yourself when things go wrong.
Ooh, yes. That's a big one.
It's about as if it was your fault that something went wrong, instead of thinking, well, this is life, or it has happened because of so and so and so. Yeah.
And it creates fear of failure. When we blame ourselves, then we stop taking action, because in case something else goes wrong. So actually, sometimes we just need to look at the bigger picture and say, okay, something went wrong. What can I do now? What can I fix? And what do I need to let go? I think that's really important.
I like that. I like the concept that you mentioned about looking at the bigger picture. You are so focused in your little bubble.
Yes.
You forget that there's other things, other factors. Love it. Right. The fifth one is about thinking other people are better than you.
Oh, comparison. I feel like we all do this, even when we don't want to. I feel like we're human, and we all compare ourselves to other people, and we say, like, oh, she's way better than me. Instead of, and this is what I say to people, you can't jump from comparing to just not comparing. You're still going to compare. But what if you start to think, well, she's better at this than I am, but do you know what I'm really good at? Because someone can be better than you at something, but you can also be great. So you could be like, oh, you're better at me than going live. But do you know what? I'm really good at writing posts. Or I'm really good at negotiating salary, but you're much better at interviewing than I am. Whatever it is, there will always be something you can compare yourself to. But rather than compare yourself, I always say, but what are you good at? Why are you worrying about other people? One of my favorite things to say is mind your business. It's nothing to do with you. If they're better than you, then let them carry on. And also reminding yourself, are you comparing something you've only just learnt to do with someone who's been doing something for 10 years? Or someone who's been doing something for 5 years? Like, I've been in recruitment for 10 years. I would expect that I have stronger skill set maybe than someone who's only been doing it for 2 weeks. I would hope I did anyway. So what I'm saying is, are you when you're comparing yourself, is it a fair comparison? Like, if as women, a lot of us will compare ourselves, anyone who identifies as a woman, a lot of us compare ourselves and we'll say like, oh, I'm really fat compared to someone else. When actually, have you just had a baby? Like, what is your journey versus who you're comparing yourself to? Are you a 40-year-old woman like myself comparing yourself to a 19-year-old person? Because when I was 19, my metabolism was way higher than it is now. So, like, are you 5'3" comparing yourself to someone who's 5'9"? Like, I'm really tall. I can put on a certain amount of weight and someone might not notice it. So, is your comparison fair? I'm a big believer in arguing with yourself to figure out whether your comparison is actually fair and it's based on facts. So are you comparing yourself to someone who is exactly where you are in this exact moment? Or are you comparing yourself to someone who has already been doing the thing, or it's just not a fair comparison? So I think that's a big one, like the comparing thing.
Yeah, love it. I mean, what you said is the key. Is it fair comparison? And I'm a firm believer that it's almost impossible to compare yourself to anyone, because in order to do that, you would have to know life and history of that person in and out. Yeah. In order to make that fair comparison. And that's impossible.
Exactly. Impossible. And I love the way you said that. It's impossible. You don't know anything about them, where they're coming from, how they got there. So comparing yourself makes you can only compare yourself to yourself. That's the truth.
Exactly.
It's the only fair comparison. Love it.
Brilliant.
Great.
All right. So moving on to the next one is thinking that you don't deserve to have fun. Oh. Now, I'm not sure, professionally speaking, I'm not sure that's very relevant. I guess this is more in line when you're moving, or I don't know, for teenagers when they are trying to hang out and move in different social circles, and they think that, oh well, I'm not going to hang out with these people because they're the cool ones and I don't deserve to have fun. I think it must be something related to that.
Okay, well that would make sense, yeah. Because I was thinking, how would that affect confidence? Like, not thinking you deserve to have fun. Maybe worthiness.
Okay.
Worthiness, maybe. I was thinking maybe it can come under worthiness. Like, if you don't think you're worthy, you don't reward yourself because you don't think you're good enough for that reward. So maybe it should show up in that type of way. But yeah, that's the only way I could really think about it. Or exactly what you said, like with teenagers wanting to hang, like not being in the cool group, so not having fun. So yeah, I get it. But yeah, maybe the worthy thing.
Yep, yeah, love it. Yeah, but thinking you are not worthy. Maybe that's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
And then next one is about not accepting compliments.
I'm guilty. Yeah, me too. I'm guilty.
It's so difficult.
Yeah, because you want to either say like, oh no, it's not a big deal, or you want to compliment them immediately, like, oh no, but yours is nicer. But we're taught that we're taught not to brag, and I feel like we almost think that when we get a compliment, if we just say, oh, thanks, that's almost a bit arrogant. That's what we're taught. It's not arrogant, but I feel like growing up, you're sort of taught to be humble. I think that's one of the one of the biggest things that traps us as we get older, people keep saying to you, be humble, be modest, don't show off. When actually accepting a compliment, guys, isn't showing off. It's actually just saying thank you. Someone's saying something nice, just say thank you. And I put my hand up. It's really hard for me as well to just be like, oh, thanks. If someone says to me, oh, I really like your earrings, I'll be like, they're not expensive. Like, I automatically deflect the compliment. It doesn't matter what it is. Oh, I like your hair. Oh no, it only took 5 minutes. Because we naturally are like, be modest. Modesty doesn't always get you where you want to be, guys. And modesty messes with your confidence. It really does. So sometimes just take a deep breath and say, thank you. And that's the end of the sentence. Nothing else except the compliment.
It's what we're saying about getting used to things that you're not comfortable with.
Yes.
We need to get comfortable with, being complimented.
Yes. Agree.
Right. Avoiding challenges for fear of failing.
Big one. We mentioned this a little bit earlier, didn't we? Yeah. I just think that sometimes we need someone to shake us and let us know we all fail. It's not avoidable. If you want success, you have to accept that you can fail. And sometimes I always say to people, it's hardly ever as bad as we think it's going to be. Try it, see what happens. If you fail, try again. Imagine we all, on the first time we started walking and we fell over, as kids, we were like, well, I'm never going to get up again. We'd all be crawling around on our bum. And that's what I say to everyone. Like, when you watch kids, they will keep trying and trying and trying. We lose that as we get older. If you grew up in a house with a mum and a dad, have you ever noticed that if the child asks the mum and she says no, they'll run over and go and ask the dad? They weren't scared that they failed the first time. They just went and asked someone else. Remind yourself of that childlike feeling. Like, when we used to fail, we would just be like, all right, I'll try again. Like, you didn't hold adults, we're so scared to fail. But I just want to remind you, be like a little kid. When your mum said no, you asked your dad. If your dad said no, you asked your grandma. If your grandma said no, you will keep asking. Do the same thing in your life. Your life deserves that chance. Be a kid in your life and actually just keep asking. I'm a big believer if you fail, either the method needs to be changed or the person you're asking needs to be changed. So that's what I believe with failure. So that's my 2 cents.
Lovely. I just want to put a disclaimer here. We understand that there might be some psychological issues in the mix that might make it very difficult for a person to overcome anxiety to new challenges.
100%. As someone who's suffered with anxiety, I get that. And that's your brain, like, consistently. That's something that's very hard to work through. And I don't think anything, especially when we're talking about confidence, is an overnight fix. I think it's consistent work and consistent small steps to move you forward, especially if you're someone who deals with anxiety. You have to take it one day and one moment at a time. So perfect. I love that.
Right. So I got 2 more left. We got being overly upset by disapproval or criticism.
Like needing validation. I feel like
yes.
I feel like we all have that. We don't like to be. I hate being criticized. I'm not gonna lie, but because I hate being criticized, I sometimes overwork. So that things up, and it almost shows up as perfectionism. Like, I want it to be perfect so that no one can criticize me. And I think that's something that we all struggle with a little bit. We all want validation. We all want people to say well done and not criticize us. But I do feel like sometimes criticism is a growth opportunity when it's constructive. Like, and also think about the source. I think that's really important. When you're being criticized, think about the source. Is it someone whose opinion is valid? Like, can they help you? Can you learn from them? Like, are they doing things in life that you want to do? Because if they're not, is their criticism really valid? Always consider the source. Are they criticizing you because they can't do something? Or are they genuinely trying to help? Because sometimes we get criticized and we accept it like, oh my gosh, it's really true. But the person who said it to us bears no importance in the outcome of what we want in our life. So actually, how important was what they said to you? So instead of avoiding criticism, start thinking about the source of the criticism and whether it's valid. And if it's from someone who you feel can help you, then can it be constructive, and what can you take from it to move you forward?
Love it. I love it. I love it. Being selective about what you want to take away from its criticism.
Yes, 100%.
Because we will get criticism. We will. It's out there.
Yes,
so it's down to each one of us to decide what's useful and what's not.
No. Yeah, agreed.
Right. So let's go for the last one, which is this is I think this is, we already talked about this. It's about feeling sad, depressed, anxious, ashamed, angry, or worthless.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have already talked about this across the previous ones, and we have a mixture here of psychological conditions and also status that are just temporary. I guess in terms of psychological conditions, as we were saying earlier on the disclaimer, I would say for people listening to us or checking this afterwards, to always refer to a professional to help them. And as you were saying, step by step, in the own pace that the person needs it.
Don't be embarrassed. I think it's important to say, don't be embarrassed. Ask for help. Go and get professional, ask for help. If you're struggling with depression, anxiety, don't feel like you needing help makes you less than. There are hundreds and thousands of people getting help. Just because people don't speak about it, and I think that's the important thing. You feel alone sometimes because people don't speak about getting help, but there are thousands of people getting help for so many different conditions. If you're sad, if you're depressed, ask for help. It's okay. I think that just get help. Ask for help. Professionals are out there, people you trust. And I promise you, there's probably more people suffering just like you are, but they're maybe not talking about it, so you're not hearing it as much. So get next to people that are talking about it, whether that's groups, whether that's individual help, but get in close proximity with people who are open about what they're suffering with.
Love this. Silence is a bliss is saying people need to know they are never on their own, and there is nothing to be ashamed of ever. Thanks for sharing this. I'm going to say, when something hurts on my body, I go to the GP. When something hurts in here, I go to my counselor.
Exactly that. And that's perfect. I think that sums it up. If our body hurts, we go to the GP, and we're not embarrassed to go to a GP. We're like, I'm going to the doctors. But if our brain hurts, we're like, oh, I need to hide away, or something's wrong with me. Go and get help. Therapy is a good thing, guys. Don't be embarrassed.
And again, silence was saying that they can talk or find help online.
Yes, if you're embarrassed to talk to someone you know, go online. Online it can be a negative place, but it can be such a positive place because you can really find support if you look in the right places. So I love that you said that silence is bliss. That's perfect. Literally, I love it.
Perfect. Okay. Should we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, 100%. There was one thing I wanted to say, how lack of confidence can show up. And that is, you think that you need 10 more things before you're ready to do the things you want. You don't. That is such a big sign of lack of confidence. The fact that you're like, no, I need to do this before I can go for the thing I want. You can go for whatever you want today, right now, with what you have. It's just about looking at a different path. So that was a big one for me. I feel like a lot of people I meet, their lack of confidence shows up in the way that they feel like they need 10, 20, 30 more things before they'll be ready. So I think that's a strong one when you lack confidence.
Okay, I'm sorry. I need to say it. I have all these things in my head all the time. I have to say them. Caramo Brown, he said, day one or one day?
100. Oh, yes.
Sorry, I have all these people talking in my head.
No, I love that. I actually love that. Yeah, one day. I love day one or one day. I love that. I love that you said that. That's just perfect. That wraps it up in a bow.
Brilliant. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next topic was about tips and techniques. We have already been saying things,
Yes.
but this would be about talking about summarizing tips and techniques in order to improve upon our own confidence. I don't have anything prepared. I mean, I do know things like repetition. That's the one for me.
Yeah.
Like repeating something over and over and over, it gets easier naturally.
Yeah. It genuinely does. Repetition, I believe, is such a big thing. And consider, when you're considering repetition, people will do something for a week and say, oh, it's not working. It took you years to get to where you are now. It's probably going to take the same amount of time to recondition your brain. So when you're doing the repetition work, keep doing it. It's not going to happen overnight, but slowly, if you do anything for 30 days, you'll start to notice small shifts. Keep going, because you didn't get to where you are overnight, and you're not going to fix it overnight. I think that's really important, like when we talk about repetition. One of my ones that I put down was, if you want to build your confidence, ask for what you want, what you really want. Even if you're going to get a no, if you want to start to build your confidence today, something small you can do is just today, leave here now off this live and go and ask for something you want. And it doesn't have to be to do with your career. It can be anything, just one thing. If you want peace and quiet, ask the person who you're with, please, can you stop talking? I just need 10 minutes. We're so conditioned not to ask for what we want and to worry about other people. If you want to build your confidence, ask for what you really want. Just one thing. It's really important. I think that helps, because the more you ask for what you want and the more you start to get it, the more you'll start to feel confident. Confidence doesn't come first. It comes after. So ask for what you want. I really believe in asking for what you want.
Love it. And this is, I have to say, when I was a child, I was very shy, and I would go with, or my mom would ask me, go to the shop and buy this, and it was my first time buying it, and I would go and I would say, well, can I have this? And they would give me something completely different. I was so shy that I wouldn't tell them, no, this is not. I would just take it and go to my mom.
And then get in trouble when you get home. I was exactly the same. I was so shy. I would just, if an adult gave me something and it was wrong, I would just be like, okay. And I would just go with it, even when I knew. Oh, I thought I was the only one who did that. I definitely did that as a child. And I got in trouble all the time with my mum, because she would say, why didn't you tell them it was wrong? And I'd be like, I was scared. I was scared to speak. So I think, yeah, asking for what you want is really, really, really important.
Then I had another one, but I think Silence was mentioning saying aspirations to yourself daily. Do not wait for others to say something to you. Note and quote all of the positive things that you have done, overcome, achieved. So I really like that one.
Yeah, I really like that.
Celebrating achievement and successes. Yeah, that's very important. Or being grateful for 10 things every day.
Yeah, every morning. I do it some days. It's the 5-finger gratitude. I read it somewhere. And you just hold up your 5 fingers when you wake up in the morning, and you just say 5 things you're grateful for. And once your fingers are down, you're done, and you keep moving. But I find it helpful some days, like just to wake up and be like, what are 5 things I'm grateful for? And then name them and move on. But I like that. And saying affirmations, people think affirmations are a bit like, woo, and a bit silly. But it's more about reprogramming your subconscious, not your conscious. So when you're saying them, basically your brain believes anything you tell it. So anyone who's watching this who doesn't know about subconscious and conscious brain, your subconscious, anything you tell it, it will believe. So if you keep telling it the same affirmations over and over again, like Seth said about repetition, you're going to convince it that that's the truth. So I love that you said that silence is bliss. Keep saying things to yourself, positive things. It might feel like it's not working, but eventually you'll start acting differently, and you'll be like, oh, how come I chose this today instead of that? It's because you've tricked your brain, and now your brain believes you. So that's the easiest way I can explain it. The easiest way I explain subconscious to people is your brain believes what you tell it. So just keep feeding it as many good thoughts as you possibly can. And it will one day just believe that those thoughts are real. And that's just how we reprogram our subconscious on the most basic level.
Brilliant. Okay, so far we got repetition, ask for what you really want, affirmations, and celebrating achievements. Yeah. And then
one more. If you want to build your confidence, you have to take action. And I know that's really easy to say, and you guys have probably heard it so many times, but the action creates the confidence. So what I say to everyone is do one thing as if you were confident. So if you're sitting right now saying to yourself, if I was more confident, I would ask for a promotion at work. Obviously, like you guys know, I'm a career coach, so just naturally thought of that, like career. So if you're thinking now, I want to ask for a promotion, and when I become more confident, I'm going to ask, that's not how it works. Go and ask, regardless of the outcome. We've already spoken about failing, but go and ask, because the asking creates the confidence. Because once you do the action, you'll be like, even if you don't get it, it wasn't as bad as you thought. It wasn't as hard as you thought. And you've done one thing as the confident person that you want to be. You can't become her or him until you act as if. And we say that a lot, acting as if. But the only way you can act as if is ask yourself, if I was more confident, what would I be doing right now? Go and do one thing. Just do one thing. Don't not 10 things. One thing now, one action that you would do if you were confident. That's how you'll become confident. So action. Like I always say that people say that, oh, it's easy to say it, but it's honestly true. I didn't become good at negotiating until I did it. Until I first ever asked. Like you can't, if you're sitting and waiting to be confident, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. Because you don't just wake up confident. So I say practice makes perfect. So whoever's watching this today, anything that you want, just one thing, just think of one thing that you would do today if you were confident. Go and do it. And then come back and tell us how it went.
Love it. There is an exercise that counselors use called I think it's called the miracle question. I'm not sure if you heard of it.
No.
So it's basically what you said. It's literally, the question is, imagine that you wake up tomorrow and a miracle has happened. What has changed in your life? Ah,
right. That's exactly it.
Exactly. What would you do? What is that thing that you want to do? Just go and do it.
Go and do it. And that's what makes the change. That's what builds the confidence. Take the action. The one thing, whatever it is, take action and just try it. Just think to yourself, if I was confident, what would I ask for? Go and ask for it.
And then tied to that, I think it's exactly what you said, but I like to take as a more generic thing, which is do things that make you uncomfortable. Like get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yes, I love that, because a bit of comfort mixed with discomfort is, I believe, what changes things. Because as humans, we want to feel comfortable. So if you can combine that with just a little bit of discomfort, and exactly what you said, like just get comfortable with the uncomfortable. If you know you're not confident with whatever it is and it makes you feel uncomfortable, like just do one thing. What's one thing that you would do if you were confident? To be that thing, you're going to have to just try that one thing. I agree with you. And yeah, it's not going to feel good, guys. It rarely does. Building a new skill never feels good. Who remembers learning to drive? Anyone who knows how to drive. When you first learn to drive, when I first got in the car, I wanted to cry, because the first 2-3 lessons were awful when I said, I'm never going to be able to learn to drive, ever. I thought I would never learn. It's repetition. Now I'm probably the most confident driver you'll find. But I got here because I took the action. So you've got to be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
I love that example because it's very vivid in my memory as well. You know, like when you grab that huge machine that can go very fast and that you can kill yourself with it. You know, it's literally, I think I can't think of anything more uncomfortable than that. And most of us do it.
Exactly. We get there in the end. So, and that's the thing, like we got there, but at the beginning, the first time in a car was awful.
Okay. And any other tips or techniques?
Only other tip for me is a thoughts journal. I always get people to, especially like at the beginning, to try out a thoughts journal. Just write down every day all the negative thoughts you have. And I know that sounds really silly, but when you do it, you end up realizing that you probably have like 30 negative thoughts a day. And then once you've written them down, just writing next to them what you would prefer to feel. Not what you can feel, because obviously you can't just shift straight away, but what would you prefer to feel? So I always get people to write down their negative thoughts. Like whether it's like through the day, you might say, I'm such an idiot. Write that down. Why are you such an idiot? What would you prefer to feel? Like, because no one wants to feel like they're an idiot. What would you prefer to feel? Maybe it's just that I'm learning something new. Because I don't believe in jumping from like one thought to a really high thought. I feel like there's 10 thoughts in between. So make your thoughts journal, and also it will make you very aware of how you speak to yourself. If you notice in your thoughts journal that the way you speak to yourself is predominantly negative, that's how you can start to change it if you're aware of it. So awareness is key. So I like to get people, I get people to do it for either 7 days or 14 days. Keep a negative thoughts journal, and next to it, at the end of the day, write down what you wish you could think instead, and then start working on that.
I think that's lovely. Is this the exercise that you wanted to do now?
Similar, but not exactly. But yeah, very similar.
Okay, right. Should we move on to the life exercise?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah.
Right. For everyone watching, what we're going to do is basically we're going to have Adele doing coaching an exercise for confidence, and I'm going to be acting as the client. I'm going to try to use real experience and real information from what I do to make it as effective as possible.
Perfect.
So when you're ready.
Right, so let's go. Right, so guys, this is like, it's like working through a negative thought and how you can reframe it in a bigger way. So the thoughts journal is just like the start, but how can you work on each individual thought? Because we have strong thoughts. When you write a thoughts journal, you'll notice you have the same thought repetitively. That's the underlying thought that you need to deal with, the thought that comes up the most often. So we're going to get Seth to tell me a negative thought that he feels about a situation, and then I'm going to talk him through how he would work through that. So what's a negative thought or a feeling that you might be having?
Okay. If I talk to a stranger, a complete stranger, they will probably feel that I'm an idiot.
Right. Okay. So that's the thought, guys. So this is the thought. If he talks to a stranger, they will think that he's an idiot. That's the thought. The reason I keep saying it's the thought is because now I want you to tell me the fact. So the way you would argue with yourself is, right, so you just said to me, if you speak to a stranger, that they will think you're an idiot. Did you speak to a stranger? I just want yes or no. Did you speak to a stranger?
Not recently, no.
No. Have you ever spoken to a stranger?
Yes, I have.
When did you speak to a stranger?
Probably yesterday.
What happened? Did they say to you that you were an idiot?
No, they didn't say anything.
So now, the reason I'm asking these questions is because we're talking about thoughts versus facts. We have a way as humans that our thoughts are reality. We believe what we're thinking. But when you challenge that thought, and the way I would challenge that with a client, I would say to them, before you became my client, I was a stranger. Did I tell you you were an idiot? Before me and you met online, did I say to you an idiot? Who as a stranger has told you you were an idiot? Because once we start to challenge the thought, it changes. So, Seth, who has told you that you're an idiot? Who was a stranger that you met, and the first time you met them, they told you you were an idiot?
I can't think of anyone at this point.
Okay, so why are you telling yourself that that's a fact? Why do you believe that if you talk to a stranger, they'll think you're an idiot?
Because that's a fear I have.
Because it's a fear you have. So it's not a fact and it's not real. So we know the thought. So what I would get you to do is write the thought down. The thought is that if I talk to a stranger, they'll think I'm an idiot.
I'm a slow writer.
No, that's okay. Yeah, so that's a thought, and it's also an opinion that you formed. Because you think that, what does that stop you doing? What has that thought stopped you being able to do? Just in your life. Tell me what that thought has stopped you doing. Currently, because you don't like talking to strangers, because you think you're going to be an idiot, is there anyone that you wish you could talk to that you're not speaking to? So like, what is it doing right now?
So I cannot think of any specific thing, but I can think of situations in which it has stopped me from getting what I really wanted, for instance.
So it's stopping you currently from getting what you really wanted. Yeah? So we've written it down. So the fact, we've already argued and we've had this conversation. The fact is, you've never spoken to a stranger that you can remember and they've called you an idiot, like you, or said to you were stupid or whatever it was. So that's the fact. So write the fact underneath the thought. So the thought is what you think. The fact is, what is the fact?
I have never spoken to a stranger and been told I'm an idiot.
So let's talk about a new action. So I want you to, from this new, I want to create a new thought and a new action. So what if you still are scared and you still think if you speak to a stranger, they're going to think you're an idiot. But what if tomorrow you speak to one person you don't know at work?
Do you want me to answer or?
So what if you speak to one person, just say hi? Do you think you can do that?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So you think you can say hi to someone that you don't know tomorrow?
Yeah.
Just one person, just say hi to them. How do you feel when I ask you if you can do that? How does that make you feel?
A bit uncomfortable, not a lot, but a bit.
Just a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now that we've thought of the new action, could the new thought be, and I'm going to throw out some thoughts, and I would love for you to tell me your thoughts. Could the new, because we know that it's not a fact, no one's actually ever told you that you're stupid. Could the new thought be, maybe someone could think I'm stupid, but I'm going to speak anyway and just see what happens? Or could the thought simply be, nobody has ever told me I was stupid, so I'm going to try to talk to strangers? What thought feels good in your brain?
Well, nobody has actually told me that I'm stupid, so why not just? I don't have any fact, any fact that supports the fact that I'm going to be called an idiot or that something bad is going to happen if I talk to a stranger.
Okay. Also, one more question from me. Why do you need to talk to a stranger?
To buy drugs? No.
I cannot help you with that.
Sorry.
Why do you need to speak to a stranger?
Because, well, I don't know, because I want to get something. Like if I go to the supermarket, I may need to talk to a stranger to buy something. Or if I go to a bar, I may need to talk to a stranger to see if a seat is free.
Okay.
To get what I want.
We're going to try by saying hi to someone. And you've just said to me, the new thought is, nobody's ever called me stupid, so I'm going to try. Every day, you will write out this thought for at least a week, where you write the negative thought, you write the fact, you write the new thought, and then you write the action that you're going to take based on the new thought.
Okay, and the action is...
This sounds very boring, guys, but this repetition is what rewires your brain. This repetition is what rewires your action. So you're going to write the negative thought and how it makes you feel. Then you're going to write what the fact is. Then you're going to write the new thought. The new thought has to be something that your brain can connect with. That's why I threw out a couple of thoughts. This process would take a lot longer in a coaching session, guys, and we'd be going back talking. But just to give you an idea, the new thought will create the new action, but you have to believe the new thought. That's why I threw out 2 thoughts, because I was like, and usually we'd work through about 10 different thoughts, because your brain has to trust the thought. You cannot use a thought that doesn't feel good to you in your brain. But Seth was literally said, actually, no one's ever called me an idiot, so maybe I could talk to a stranger. If that thought feels good to him, that's the thought I want him to write every day, so that he starts to think, okay, well, no one's ever, and that thought is what is going to create the new action. You cannot create new actions with old thoughts, but you have to challenge the old thoughts. So this would be a model that we would do with someone.
Got it. So just to get my coaching mind into it just for a second, I love the exercise. So am I right to say that the first part of the exercise, or what you would do with a client, is an exercise of reframing that
Yeah,
thought?
so the first part is tell me the negative thought. What is the negative thought and how does it make you feel? Now I would just start asking them questions. It's to reframe it. The questions are, has anyone ever called you an idiot? When were you, like, asking those questions, because that's what triggers something in your brain. That's what
Sorry,
makes you think.
sorry. I think Edgar, do you want to ask a question?
Yes, do you want to ask us something? But yeah, so what in reframing starts by asking the question.
And then the second part that you were talking about, it's doing an action related to.
Well, before we do the action, we would do a new thought. So what is the new thought that you want to think or you want to feel, but a realistic thought? Because most clients are going to jump and say, all strangers are really nice. Your brain will not get behind that because the gap is too much. So then what we would do is we'd talk about other things that we could think in the middle.
Okay.
We'd think about other things. And then once we've got the new thought, we can think about the action.
Okay.
And the action that we spoke about was you going and saying hi to a stranger tomorrow.
And that action would be basically doing something outside of your comfort zone.
Yes.
And, getting comfortable with
just
doing that.
one. And it should be small. It shouldn't be like, oh, you're going to go to a room and talk to 10 strangers. The first action should always be something small, but something where the new thought connects with the new action. So the new thought was, not all strangers, I've never had a stranger call me an idiot, so I might be able to talk to one of them. So the new action is, let me just say hi to someone.
I like what Edgar said, that everyone is a stranger until you get to know them.
Exactly that. And that's what I would have a conversation with my clients about. I would say to them, well, when you went to your job for the first day, when you made your first friend, they were all strangers. Did they call you an idiot? And that's how I would ask the question, because those questions will literally trigger something in your brain to say, like, oh yeah, how did I get my first friend? How did I get my first coach or my first therapist? Or when you start your job, you have to speak to your boss. Well, hopefully you have to speak to your boss, otherwise what do you... So we've all spoken to strangers, and it's more about just asking, is the thought really a fact? Every time you did those things, you spoke to your new boss, you spoke to a new colleague, did they say to you, you were an idiot? If they didn't, where is this thought coming from? Can we challenge this thought because there's no evidence to support it?
Love it. Brilliant. Okay, so doing that, writing this down for a week, the thought, the fact, and the new thought.
What should start to happen, the more you write it down, every time you write the negative thought, you'll laugh and you'll think of an even newer thought. So the new thought will keep changing. First it will be like, but the new thought, then eventually you'll be like, no one's ever called me an idiot. Why do I think this? But sometimes with really deep-rooted thoughts, because a lot of us have really deep-rooted thoughts, you should push this and do it for 30 days until you start to laugh at the old thought, and then your new thoughts are like, what? You really start to question it. So 7 days to start with. If it still feels really deep-rooted, 30 days. 30 days, and it sounds so repetitive, but 30 days working through that same thought will shift everything, because you'll start to immediately start to be like, wait, why do I even think this? Especially if you're taking action. Because if you then go and say hi to someone and they say hi back, and maybe you start a friendship, you're going to be like, oh, I spoke to a stranger and they were really nice to me. So now the thought is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Perfect. Adelle, we're running out of time, but this was a lovely exercise. For everyone watching this, this is an exercise to build up your confidence. And we did it a short version, so of course it would take more time when doing a session with Coach Adelle. If you want to have more of these tools, or if you want to discuss how to build up your confidence or your career, you can contact Adelle, Coach Adelle T, Adelle with 2 L's on Instagram, and she can help you with your concerns about your confidence. Adelle, thank you very much. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we say goodbye?
No, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this session, especially like the little twist at the end with the little live the little live session. I like that. It was really good. It's been such a great conversation. Thank you so much for having me.
Lovely. Thank you very much for accepting to join us today. I hope this is useful for everyone that is watching, and I hope we can do it again.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Adele. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.